Hello and welcome to a casual conversation. This is a new type of video I'm trying. It's not exactly a video, but I'll see what I can add as a video component to all the silky smooth audio you're hearing. With me today are my two very nice game designer friends, Cody and Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh.
And I'm Cody.
Links in bio. So today, on a casual conversation, we will be discussing Spider-Man, the new PS4 game that is absolutely amazing. For now, we will not be talking about spoilers, but some point later in the video, we will be discussing them. Don't worry, I'll give you a nice warning beforehand and a link to jump beyond them.
It's going to take everything we take not to spoil things right away.
It will be a lot.
But I believe we can do it.
Probably.
We'll see.
So let's just kind of jump into it. So first off, I'll just ask, I guess, like, what's your overall impression after having beaten the game? All three of us have beaten the game.
Right.
I've 100%ed it.
Right.
And Josh, you first. What do you like? How do you feel about this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could. This is a good time for a good old scale. I feel like a good old 1 to 10. You know, one of those things you can use to rate things on.
Yeah, you got to give it 1 to 7 asses. How many asses you give it?
1 to 7 asses.
Ooh.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna give it 6.2 asses.
Has that ever been done before?
It's not necessarily medically recommended, but it's
6.2.
6.2 asses.
Healthy score.
My son Cody, what do you say?
I was gonna flat 6. Yeah, flat.
I feel a little offended.
Well,
6 flat asses out of 7.
Yeah. 6 flat asses out of 7 good asses. No, it's terrific. It's terrific. 7 terrific asses. I mean 6. Yeah. That's what I said.
Alright, and Carlos, what do you think?
I think I kind of sit where I'm pretty sure I sit where you're at, Josh. More like a 6.25 type deal.
Ooh, you're trying to one up me now, huh? It makes sense because you're the only one that actually 100%ed it, so I feel like that 0.05 might be warranted.
Maybe. Like, it's really good. Just on overall presentation, it's easily the best presentation any Spider-Man has gotten.
Yeah, it was very cinematic. To quote a certain reviewer, it really made you feel like Spider-Man.
It was the tone that I feel like is the biggest part for me. Like that's what kept me like going in it and nonstop. Like I just railed through that game. I beat it in like 4 days.
And the fact that there was no origin story was also like extremely crucial.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
You're like
Thank
experienced,
goodness.
older Spider-Man.
You're so old.
He's old, man.
Hey, can we talk about the intro moment for the game where you start off, the music starts hyping up, you get like a quick look over the apartment, like 30 seconds, maybe 40, and then all of a sudden you jump out the window, music's flashing, and you're like, wow, this is so hype. All my hype for the game is so good. But then it just throws you into the game, and it's so good.
He webbed his toast, and that's like icky.
During the intro, when we pan through the bookcase, the very first issue of the Spider-Man comic book is sitting on Peter's bookcase.
So cool.
Like the classic one. I think it's the Spectacular. I'm pretty sure it's the Spectacular Spider-Man where he's like holding a dude by like the pant waist in one hand and like swinging in the other, all 1950s style.
That's so cool. I did not notice that, but I did.
I had no real issue. Just the web on toast. I just imagine taking a bite out of that, but my worry immediately dissolved, just like Spider-Man's shit. I mean webs. Yeah, they're webs. I swear they're webs. As soon as I started swinging, I was like, "This is incredible."
Yeah, webs on edible things, definitely a little odd. But okay, so speaking of how that cinematic just goes right in the gameplay, they do that like almost everywhere.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah.
At least everything story related, I'm pretty sure was a seamless cinematic.
And even if it wasn't
things like
necessarily
activities were loading screen.
Even if it wasn't necessarily like a 1-for-1 transition, like every single time the voice acting would go right into it. Like he'd be talking to someone in a cinematic, and then he would land, and then he'd be talking to it, even though you had control of the game. It flowed right into it.
Yeah, and I think that's actually something that works really well. Like looking at it from a design point of view, if you want to hide the transition between cinematic and gameplay, adding in Peter giving half a sentence as the cutscene ends and then playing the rest of that sentence out in actual gameplay really helps to that.
For sure. Did you guys actually know that they recorded all of his lines twice?
What?
In the open world specifically, not for cutscenes, but they recorded it twice. Once for if you're just standing while he's saying them, and then once for if you're swinging or fighting, and then it's slightly exerted.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and that's a really nice detail. And it, luckily, I'm very happy it's only lightly asserted. Definitely could have been a weird... There could have been some bad things there where if maybe the voice actor just thought, hey, I'm swinging, maybe I should shout my VO.
Nah, man, it's Yuri Lowenthal. He knows what he's doing.
That's true.
Yeah.
I also, just the VO in general in this game, especially open world VO, because open world VO can be super iffy in enjoying it, and it can be too much because there's a lot of it. But it's just so enjoyable. I just love all of it. Him and the cop just talking, and the fact that the cop's name was Yuri. What?
Yeah, I know. I was just
always saying his own name.
I was just gonna say, so it was Yuri Lowenthal who did Spider-Man's voice, and then Yuri the cop is, it's his name in real life, but it was Tara Platt who voiced Yuri, and Tara Platt is Yuri Lowenthal's wife.
Oh my gosh! What?
Yeah.
Wait, so Spider-Man's voice actor?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Spider-Man's voice actor and Yuri's voice actor are married in real life.
That's really cool. Okay. Damn, I imagine that's a pretty sweet working gig.
I know, right?
It's yo, I'll be Spider-Man, you'll be the police chief person, and we'll just make a bunch of money off Sony.
Seriously.
for 2 or 3 games, I imagine.
I imagine they just had to have so much fun with the whole Spider Cop bit, too. That was genuinely hilarious every time.
Especially how early on it was. I was like, oh my god, I'm enjoying
Cop.
This so much. And it lasted the whole game.
Throughout the entire thing.
And he didn't overdo it, which was so fantastic. I actually found myself pining for more Spider Cop quips.
Me too. They were heavy in the beginning, and then pretty light, and then a couple dashes towards the end. It was oh.
Yeah, it was a little surprise here and then when they finally were I'm Spider Cop.
Yeah, for sure. And going back to what you said about tone, they just nailed tone. They nailed tone so well. It's like Fisk says in the beginning, you're still just a petulant child, but that's part of my true, but that's part of my appeal.
Right.
Peter responds.
Yeah, he's such a corn dog.
I think that's just that's the case with the game as well. It's just kid jokes, but also hey, we gotta save things. And actually, kind of bleeding into the story a little bit, going off of overall impressions. The fact that he explains why he makes so many quips, I found to be such a fantastic little detail.
Yeah.
I missed that. What was it? I forget.
He says that I think it was with Mary Jane or something. He's injured.
Oh.
He says he ends up making quips to break the tension. It's a bad habit he has.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
And I kind of thought that was writing on the wall to be some sort of character reveal, betrayal, plot twist device.
Oh, really?
It wasn't, but I wonder in the future if it will be. Yeah, because it was mentioned so early on, it's kind of like a Chekhov's gun moment. Spider-Man's identity would be figured out through him making so many quips, and then maybe someone who knows him, it just echoes back
I guess that's possible.
At a bad time.
Oh my gosh.
So that boy is not careful.
That boy is so not careful.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
For an 8-year-long Spider-Man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is him Spider-Man after 8 years of doing his spidery things.
Cool.
I
knew it was well into it, but I didn't know it was that specifically.
He doesn't look super
8 years.
old.
He doesn't.
No, he's not. He's not super old. He's post college. Like
good.
he's actually about our age.
He seems like a recent grad. Is how I peg him.
I was actually a little uncomfortable with how much it looked like me a lot of the time. Not to like.
I did kind of think of you when I was seeing him a couple times.
I mean, it looks it's a very, very similar look, but it's got like less facial hair and more of the uncanny valley type thing, where it's like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Like you have a similar build and hair. Like,
it's a little unsettled. Well, the build too. Oh, thank you.
yeah.
That's one muscular, spidery boy.
I think when it came to the characters, a lot of them, like, they looked nice, but they did kind of they looked like nice, but they also kind of looked generic, and that just might be me being like, it's just regular people being regular.
Yeah.
You know, when, like, in the past we've had
like other people,
Ultimate Spider-Man.
All the main cast, they weren't as, like, flashy looking.
Okay,
like they didn't have, like, the anime hair and all the stuff that makes them stand out. Instead, they were just
very true.
They could have been NPCs in another game.
It kind of felt like in a way like these characters, at least on the, let's say, outside of Scorpion and Rhino, like besides the weird, like, super people, the regular cast were just, I had the exact word for it too, and somehow I just forgot it, but it just, like, they just weren't stylized enough for being in a comic book. Being in a comic book world and a comic book, like, game with these sort of exaggerated characters.
I thought it was.
I guess overall, I just wanted style, but, like, that's not what this game was going for. Like, it does have style, but it wanted everything to look more realistic, and all the characters from this universe seem to have been run through the Christopher Nolan machine, and then produced these characters. Like, you know how for the Dark Knight, like, Christopher Nolan turned all these Batman characters into, like,
right, made them all realistic. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what's happening here, and I appreciate that. But I don't know how much I like it.
I agree that it's like a double-edged sword. I really liked parts of it, but I also didn't like parts of it. And I don't want to repeat too much of what you said already, but I agree that I didn't like a lot of how a lot of their powers and stuff were just like, oh, they're all just suits. Like, there were a lot of the villains that it was just superpowered suit.
That's very true.
I'm pretty sure they're not always suits. I know in some iterations they are, but sometimes they are, like, genetically modified or whatever. What I did really like, though, specifically with the protagonist cast, with, like, Mary Jane and Aunt May and Miles and all that stuff, is because you're trying to protect them. It really, like, because they're made to be more realistic. Like, it really made me worry for them. Like, whenever, like, I got one of those calls that's like Aunt May's in trouble, or, like, Mary Jane's like in some deep malarkey. I was like, I gotta get over there now. Like, they're in trouble. Those are my friends and family.
That's a normal person.
I feel you 100% on that. Like, every time the Golden Path called out to me, I couldn't not respond. Because it even at times, like, I know that on the back, like, on the engine, under the hood, that's what I'm looking for. I know under the hood of
under
things,
the red
hood. we'll get to suits later. there's I know that under the hood, they're not actually, like, timed, you know, it's not actually like, oh, get here in 5 minutes, otherwise the mission's gonna auto fail and you know, bad things will happen.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But I swear, at 1 or 2 points in the story, like, I actually felt that, or, like, I was worried enough about that just through the VO and, like, care for the characters alone, that I didn't want to spend too much time out in the open world, and I just wanted to get to it.
I definitely picked and chose specifically when to do all the side missions and stuff. When I would sense the point in the story, and I'm like, okay, things have, like, died down a little bit. This is the time where I'm gonna go, like, beat up a bunch of, like, HQs and, like, do all the side quests and take pictures and stuff, because, like, you just feel guilty when you're taking a picture when someone's in trouble. Like,
I do that all the time. Whenever I found a hairy thing on a roof, I was like, oh, I'm going for that. Sorry, MJ, you gotta wait. You're strong. You're an independent woman. You'll be fine on your own.
Oh gosh! Speaking of that, speaking of that, can we?
I mean, at least
can we talk about
she'll be safe on her own.
Can we talk about the MJ and Miles missions?
So at this point, if you haven't played the game, there's going to be some main campaign spoilers, not narrative, just gameplay stuff. So if you don't like that, go ahead and skip ahead of the video. I'm sure I populated some link up above. Now we're gonna get into it.
I'll preface whatever I'm about to say with they did what they wanted to do well. I just didn't want them to do it.
That's
okay.
Yeah, perfectly put. I just didn't want to be the one doing it. Just do your thing. Maybe let me be Spider-Man next to you.
Okay, so in the sections where you're playing as Mary Jane or Miles Morales, you're obviously hard stealthed. Like you can't be you can be spotted to a degree, but you can't like let somebody fully see you. Otherwise, it's game over. Restart the checkpoint. That for sure is very annoying, but I felt that the levels were actually pretty easy. Like, except for, I want to say the one level that actually had me die 2 or 3 times was sneaking around Rhino, but
Rhino.
Outside of that, it was like super easy stuff.
I didn't mind the difficulty so much as the time. I was just like, please let me swing around. I don't want to slowly crawl and like, alright, wait for a patrol. I just have to wait. Or to like zap that thing. Woo. I don't know. It was like, I definitely tried to enjoy them, and I didn't not enjoy all of them. There were some that I had fun with, but I just felt like they were a little long overall. And like, especially in the end, I'm like, I just want to be super. I'm like, I'm balling Spider-Man now. I got all his upgrades and shit. I am balling. I am just ready to beat up 100 enemies. And it's like, no. You're gonna be sneaking around the enemy you could be beating up. But I'm like, no, please.
I'm definitely not someone that generally likes stealth games, as I know you two are aware. But I will say that they did a good job of making the levels not super linear. Also, like typically I think there are a few levels that are like very linear where like there's only one way to stealth through it. But there were a couple levels where you could go around obstacles and like distract enemies various ways, and so. You were not only were you able to stealth through, but you had the creativity ability to do it your own way. And so when you actually solved it, it was like solving a puzzle, and it felt pretty good. I especially liked when you actually had ways to fight back a little bit, like when Mary Jane has the taser, and when
oh my god,
that was really cool.
Yeah.
That was
don't tase me, bro, all over the place.
Yeah. So that was like super cool because I could like take risks and like be like I wonder if I can get to that guy like in time, but also stay stealthy to like take him out. And then you do that, and then you're like, nice, nailed it. But then someone else turns the corner, and you're like, oh no, I've been found. And you do it again. You're like, all right, I wonder if I can avoid it this time. As opposed to when it's just stealth, then it feels like it's just a bunch of landmines, and you have to like tiptoe around them. And like Cody was saying, I think sometimes it can feel too slow when you're tiptoeing, as opposed to moving at your own pace, I guess.
It's Spider-Man's pace.
Yeah,
He's
I hear
fast.
that. It's definitely, for sure, in terms of kind of mobility and just general pacing, it is quite a stop sign in comparison. And I wonder kind of like if they decide to continue with those types of missions, which I imagine they will. Pretty much, if you're an open world game, you need melee, gunplay, and some sort of stealth.
You need something to break up the pacing, for sure.
But, like, how exactly do they improve that? Do they allow Mary Jane to... Also, can we note that she only has the freaking stun gun, like, during the final stealth mission? Like, why the heck didn't that just... Why didn't she just start carrying around a stun gun or something? Like, why'd she need to find a high-tech stun gun?
Yeah.
That was a little odd.
It's because she's reckless, and when you as Spider-Man like reprimand her for being reckless, and she's like, "You always treat me as a kid," and it's just like you immediately sympathize with Peter because you're just like, I'm already getting upset about it. I'm like, I've got all these powers, I can take care of myself. These people all have powers, they can take care of themselves. You got a camera, what are you gonna do? All you got is all she has is plot armor. It's only so thick.
And then she gets a taser, and then she still also gets saved.
It would be perfect to play out that scene where she's like complaining that she doesn't have to be saved. It'd be perfect to play out that scene with using the battle suit, the one that's all torn up that you have at the beginning.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And then it's just Peter, like, all beat up, just looking at her like, I've had 14 rockets launched at me, 13 jetpack guys, and so on and so forth.
I mean, I totally hear it. Is there anything else we want to say about the stealth section? Actually, we should talk about the Miles section a little bit. That was mainly Mary Jane stuff. I think the Miles parts were pretty cool. I feel like they were a little bit forced with like the whole hacking thing, because
that was
it was just kind of like all of a sudden like you get your control of Miles, you get like, oh hey look, there's this app we have that you can hack into things, and it's like, oh that's cool, and it's like, oh this is immediately useful. Like, oh okay, let me just. I guess.
Yeah, that was a little odd. How did he get the ability to hack again?
So apparently him and his friend had been just like working on it like for fun, and like and they were gonna market it, and they like briefly mentioned like, oh, you should have like asked Spider-Man if he would like buy a share of our company or something. Like it was very like kind of like ha ha ha, that's pretty funny. But then he's like, oh wait, no, this is actually super useful. I'm gonna use it to get out of danger.
To break this like super tech-oriented military group. and then
that's surprising. I literally don't even, as far as I can remember, like Miles just walked up to a random PDA iPad, picked it up, and was able to hack stuff.
It's because it literally what happened is it happens immediately after Spider-Man saves him. You gain control of Miles, and like as you start moving, like it automatically has like the guy is calling you on the phone, and it just says friend at the bottom. Friend doesn't have a name, and he just gives you the rundown, and it kind of like segues it in by mentioning like, oh, I'll have to say that the next time I see him, to kind of like imply that there'll be another encounter. But I think it's worth mentioning that the fact that you didn't even know when it happened is credit to itself, that it felt a little sudden. Yeah,
it was a little underwhelming. Definitely, if they're going to play up the techie science aspect of Miles, they have, you know, granted he is a side character in this one, or rather a supporting cast member, they still should have given probably some more lead up or explanation. And maybe, who knows, there was, but it just ended up hitting the cutting room floor.
That's true.
But in the final product, yeah, it does seem kind of like a pretty quick and easy convenience. The plot says I can hack robots, so I can hack robots.
Yeah, and speaking of plot, Miles definitely knew he had plot armor. Like MJ was like I'm crazy, this is just me being like confident and stuff, but Miles is like, oh, there's a whole bunch of like deadly automatic turrets and like drones and these people who will definitely kill me. It's like, I could go around, but like I don't want to be late, so I guess I'll risk it. And it's like, what? Like, that's so crazy. This guy's insane.
Place,
yeah,
right? He was just trying
he's just going to the food place. It's his first day. He doesn't want to be late. I guess I'll just risk my life.
Yes,
I didn't think of that. Yeah. That's pretty funny.
With that, in a second, we'll roll into overall story.
Yes.
But like, definitely, Miles had the heavy plot armor, and when you know that a character has plot armor, and when we say plot armor, we mean like this character's so important we know he's not going to die.
It takes away the tension.
That's why Jon Snow is still around.
I didn't know that, Carlos. I don't watch that show. I'm one of the 1%.
But yeah, you're not going to watch it anyway. So like, well, okay, so my point is, like, when you see a character with plot armor that heavy doing bold, rash things, it really has no weight to it. I will say that I had fun watching him get in very close call situations, but knowing that he's basically, safe until game 2 or 3, he had no danger.
Yeah, I hear you.
No, very much.
He just seems like a really stupid kid who's going to end up getting himself killed.
Which is disappointing, because he's such a good character, like in the comics and in shows and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't awful. Like, I don't want to only say the cons, but I feel like it's just the things that, because I know most people are like very excited to see him in the game because he's a fan favorite character.
I'm definitely excited to see him in the game. I didn't love his story in this one. I'm excited to see his character become less of a side character, like more of like a main side character. That'll be a little more fun. Like, him being smart just felt, I don't know, like what you said, Kyle, with him kind of being dumb, be like, yeah, I'll just go risk my life. And then if also being like, oh, I'm also like a super genius. It's like saying all these like chemicals. It's like, oh, I need to look for this kind of thing to get antibiotics. And like, he definitely displayed his intellect at like weird intervals.
Yeah, he fixed that computer that one time.
Yeah.
Or no, it wasn't a computer. It was a TV.
Potato. I'm excited to see him.
Did he like regular fix that, or did you have to do a
no? It was just in cutscene.
Okay. So we're gonna go into spoilers now. If you don't want to hear that, go ahead and click on the button above, or I will tell you what time to go to, and go click there. All right, we're getting into spoilers now.
Play the game too.
Go out and play the game! Harry's locked in a chamber in Osborne Tower, seemingly encrusted in black symbiote.
Right, it looks like symbiote. Which I actually was not expecting. I thought it was going to be like the Green Goblin, like juices or whatever.
It's green juice. Yeah. It's green juice, dude.
Maybe
like it's
both.
Green juice with black symbiote inside.
Is that canon? Has that ever happened?
I don't know.
It did with Carnage. Carnage went with the more spoilers for comic people. This recently happened where Carnage and the Green Goblin merged, and like the Red Goblin was born. So they could do something in that vein.
Dude, I love
fucking
Carnage.
Sick. So it could be like
God.
a version of that where he's like techie and has a board and like bombs. Because they showed the bombs too.
They did show the bombs.
Harry could use those instead of Norman.
I did like that he was in it, but just for like the little research lab things, being like
yeah,
hey Pete, like this is my voice. I'm still in the story. I'm important. And then like at the end, it actually was important, and I kind of like felt like the side missions kind of had weight to them.
Oh, also, I mean, it is. I mean, it's comic canon that like Harry ends up becoming an enemy of Spider-Man, but I think like the game. It seems like the game's trilogy, at least on the narrative side, is going to continuously bring up like people close to Peter turning into some of his worst enemies. Mm-hmm. Like for this game, we had like the whole game we're working with the person who ultimately becomes the final boss, which like makes sense.
And who could have predicted that
in terms of structuring? And it's right. Like,
man, I fell for it in the beginning though. I was like, please be good. I loved them so much. I was so into it. I was like, this is so nice. They're like legitimately friends.
I had no clue. I had no clue that Doc Ock or Otto Octavius would be like featured in the game, because all I saw was that first E3. And then I just like went dark. So as soon as I saw him there, also fantastic foreshadowing and imagery with his first appearance. What? Because he has, with Octavius's first appearance, you walk in and then you see he's kind of illuminated by light, and it looks like he's already Doc Ock. He has
the arms are behind
cables.
Him.
He has 4 large cables coming out his back. It's like so delicious. But that whole relationship was just like so good. It was so good. It was like, oh man,
ending to a great finale. Like,
and even as someone who like, as soon as I saw him, I knew you're going to become the final boss, and like I already had like prejudice against Doc Ock, just being a Spidey fan. But then like to make me go and like him, and then feel for him when you find out he has this like degenerative disease, but you find out that the robotics are just corrupting him, and then like Cody, I think you mentioned that if you go and do the rest of the research puzzles, those mini games, that Peter actually sees that where things are going wrong and what leads to Otto's mind getting corrupted, and the fact that, oh my god, dude! And can we talk about the fucking you knew? You knew.
Like you get the scar in your uniform, and you're like, oh, he's gonna find out, and then.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, but also at the end when in the cutscene when Peter finds out that like even the first time like that Ox saw you, like he knew you were Peter and still did all that shit to you, still went after, and then Peter puts on that like black symbiote voice that you just know he's ready to fucking kill somebody, and you so want it to happen.
The whole last cutscene, Yuri Lowenthal's voice acting was like incredible. Like it was like I was feeling something pretty hard on that. I mean, really, just the whole last 30 minutes of cinematics. I got real
It was
emotional.
intense.
I definitely teared up a
really
little
good.
bit. I didn't let the
definitely
tear
shed
drop.
one tear.
And
That was too fucking
Last
much.
fight too, where you're like the last kind of like,
on the building.
going down
Yeah.
to defeating him at the bottom. Like I really enjoyed how that played and looked. Surprisingly,
It was-
enjoy it.
It was like the perfect
Play
blend
nice.
of the cinematic and combat, like
Yeah.
because it didn't
looks
even
so
show
good.
you it didn't even show your health bar because like that doesn't
I
matter
didn't even
anymore.
notice that.
All that
Holy
matters
shit.
is the fight. Like
I liked it a
You
lot
got-
more than the negative man fight in the train. That one I didn't enjoy as much. Like the last one was just like, oh, because there was emotion with it too. Because I'm like, no, you're my friend.
That's actually it's surprising you bring that up because upon initial impact of like finishing the game, I think I had a higher opinion of the Mr. Negative train fight than the Ock fight. I think I had more expectations for the Ock fight.
Oh, that's
and,
pretty fair. It was pretty basic.
and initially it was kind of disappointing to me because it
Yeah.
was just like spam webs and then hit them. And granted, they had the floor is lava segment, but whereas I don't know, the Mr. Negative one just felt kind of like it felt.
more
It
creative.
felt closer. It felt closer, like a little more,
Yeah.
like just impactful. Even though, like the Ock fight was just so grand in scale.
I actually really liked even the part where you're fighting him on the top of the tower and you're running around and stuff. I do agree that it got a little bit repetitive, but I think I had like my two like out of my wow moments in the game, one of them was definitely during that fight at the top when like he like threw something at me and I like went flying off the building and I sent the web out and like circled around the entire thing like
That's
almost
fucking sick.
almost horizontal to him. Yeah, and it felt like Carlos said, the scale of it was huge. I was like, if I let go of this one without grabbing onto another thing, I'm just gonna fly off the building. But like because I keep going around, I keep dodging. So it's like I was looking for my opening. I was being wary of the projectiles going around me. Like it definitely felt like I was in that huge moment, which was awesome.
Yeah. And this I want to get into more like when we talk about mechanics and stuff, but just like in so many instances, the ability or the technique to just anchor onto something and wrap around your surrounding to get back into it is just always the most Spider-Man feeling.
Yeah.
Because, like, he does it in every movie, every show, you know, whether it be pendulum around a train track to kick you, or literally, like, around a vertical pole to fucking bash someone out a window. Like, it is just cool as hell to become this wrecking ball of spider goodness and just give it to someone.
You could even say it made you feel like Spider-Man.
Oh, you could.
It made
you could.
me feel.
Made me feel things. I mean, Spider-Man.
Okay, and we haven't mentioned the other two last spoilers. We've been kind of like going from thing to thing, but I feel like we gotta...
Okay, so let's rein it in a little bit, get back to the ending. So we said Octavius turns on you. He knew you were Spider-Man the whole time from that moment. He attacks you. He sends people after you. And the ultimate choice ends up being just the worst fucking non-boss fight ever. Like, not worse in a bad way, just worse. That is in, like...
Worse emotionally.
It's gonna crush your heart and your soul.
I thought for a second they were actually going to give us a choice.
I really thought they were, dude.
I thought
And
about you
I
guys.
was thinking about it the entire time. I really couldn't... I didn't know what I would do.
Dude, I was going to let her die. You had to. Like it's...
I know, but
I was
it's
gonna say-
Aunt May.
Oh, God. It was even worse, because, like, they made Aunt May look like my grandma.
Oh, no.
Like, she looks, like without the colored hair, they're, like, almost identical.
Dude, I think you might need to go to Insomniac and ask them if they used your family photos as reference material.
They used the Google little vans driving around. Found me, found my grandma. I gotta get those rights, like with
The royalties for your image.
Ellen Page and that one thing. It wasn't actually her, and not the one she was. It was her.
Oh, no. Are you thinking of
Last of Us?
GTA and Lindsay Lohan?
Maybe no. They had The Last of Us with
Oh,
on,
right.
on the first one. They were like, oh, it's totally her, and then they're like, no, that's not totally her. Beyond Two Souls comes out. This is totally her.
Yeah. Getting back to the heart-wrenching moment,
Yeah.
If we haven't already described it, basically Peter beats Doc Ock and has the cure to Devil's Breath, which is the virus that's affecting everyone in the city at this point. So either deliver the Devil's Breath to like a generator to get it out to the city, or deliver it to Aunt May because she's about to die and needs that injection immediately, whereas giving the bottle to the city will save the city, but it won't be able to get to Aunt May in time to save her. And then that just leaves Peter in the worst state, and it makes me so sad.
And then she knew also, and it's just like,
she
you're
knew the whole
bad. You can't keep your secret safe for shit.
Yeah.
I knew for a long time, but I only tell you now when you're about to lose my guidance.
Messed up big time.
Oh my god! And then you know, you as a player, as a viewer, are asking yourself, like, what if I were in Peter's shoes? What if my, guardian angel person for so long was on the bed and I had to choose? And then, Aunt May's like, hey, you know what the decision is, without even needing the fucking ask.
Yeah, man. He's Spider-Man.
He is Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man, she knows he's Spider-Man, and he knows he's Spider-Man, and he can't let his greed take over, so...
He's not Spider-Boy.
Oh my god. He does come really close, you know, in that dramatic sense. He puts the bottle really close to the thing, but then ultimately gives it to the city, and the city...
There was a half a second where when he held it up to the IV, there was a half second where I thought he was just gonna throw it on the ground. I knew that he wouldn't, but the way he hesitated was it was one of those dramatic scenes where in a movie it would be like, I can't do it, throws it on the ground in anger, oh shit, what have I done? Everyone dies.
Oh my god. Yeah, dude, holy cow. I was feeling so tense for that bottle during all the fight cinematics.
Yeah, they're holding it, I'm like, don't hold it too tight.
Yeah, I'm like, don't hold it too tight. No, don't tuck it into your shirt pocket. Oh shit, you just got smacked in the chest. There were just so many moments for that thing.
I'm pretty sure that they even punched each other while they're holding it in the fist that punches them.
Oh snap!
Probably.
I don't know. I'd have to watch the instant replay on that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just making stuff up.
So Peter Parker loses Aunt May, as we've all said. It's
and so do we.
horribly sad. Yeah, we all lost Aunt May.
Thank God it didn't end like that.
Thank
my
fucking
God.
Yo, I so thought it was, because it did fade to black, right?
Yeah.
It faded to black for a good moment.
And it had the credits. Then there were 2 post-credit scenes.
Oh, that's true. But was it? Did they? No. They didn't just end it on.
Forward thing, I think.
Oh, I thought that was after.
Yeah.
No,
They jumped.
No.
No, the. Oh man.
The time travel was...
No. Okay, so the post credit scene.
Sure...
So 3 months forward is when the Miles thing happens.
Yeah.
No.
3 months.
No. 3 months forward is when the Mary Jane and him dating thing happens. Then the credits happen.
Also, Miles.
Wait. What do you mean? What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I
thought they resolved the dating thing
No, it was
before.
No. It was definitely after she died.
Yeah.
It was. I'm pretty sure it went something along the lines of she dies and it cuts into the cinematic credits where it has the all red and blue and the all that stuff, and then after that it shows 3 months later with him and Mary Jane. They kiss. They're like, oh shit, this is all gonna get together. Then after that, then there's the black and white credits, and after that has the Miles reveal.
I disagree.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Miles is before.
I don't think so.
All right. Well, everyone in the comments below, let them know
Tell
that
us how
I'm
wrong
right.
we are.
Yeah, let us know the actual
What
timeline.
hybrid of events actually happened.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, we're all just Mandela affecting each other.
Definitely.
I'm pretty sure it was that Aunt May dies. We get the 3 months later jump cut, and then I think maybe the Mary Jane stuff happens, but honestly I don't remember it. And the Miles reveals while he's helping Peter move into his new place. Miles reveals, oh shit, I can stick to the walls. I'm Black Spider-Man.
And then that is how Peter tells him he's Spider-Man. He's like, I can do it too. And he's like, wait, what? But he has no reaction.
Yeah, Miles wasn't even surprised.
So he's like,
and of course it's got to be a puberty joke of oh, my body's city's changing, and Peter's just like, I can save the city, but I can't explain your wee-wee getting hard without stumbling.
I mean, he was about to, though.
He for sure was.
Bumbling the whole way.
Granted, how did, in Spider-Man Homecoming, how does he show the kid, he shows his friend Ned. He accidentally shows his friend Ned that he's Spider-Man by freaking coming in on the ceiling. He like crawls in on the ceiling and then like jumps down.
Yeah.
I guess that's just kind of like Spider-Man code. There's just some sort of internal wiring in every Spider-Man that says, "Hey, if I see." Yeah, it's like game recognize game, but if spider recognize spider, they both have to go to the ceiling to just confirm.
So Cody has been talking, like, I think you briefly mentioned it in very vague terms, which is good.
What?
That you're excited to see Miles in the next game.
I am.
Oh yeah, so now that we have like Black Spider-Man ready and in development and totally going to be in the next game, like where do you think the story will take our new character?
I mean, I would love for him to have his own side missions, like just like he and Mary Jane had his own side missions already, but you do different things. Maybe like my first instinct as a non-game designer is to be like, man, I wish you could like interchange between Peter and Miles like at any time to like just swap between them.
Bruh, I literally said the exact same thing to a coworker.
But as a designer, I feel like that is too much to ask for. Like, especially because of how seamless all the audio and like the entries to each level and stuff was. Like, imagine like all of the times when you like drop into Fisk's like one of the little headquarters things to like bust up the crime ring or whatever, and Peter and Yuri have that back and forth. That means that you need to have that for Miles also every time you'd have any of those things.
Yeah, his own dedicated VO for that instance.
Exactly, and I feel like that's so much stuff. Like, as much as I would love it,
that's double a lot of the work. I just want to run around the open world with him. If they let me do that, I'll be a very happy man. If not, they'll let me do something with him, and I'll still be happy.
So we're definitely going to be able to play as Miles, Spider-Man, Morales, and we'll be able to go around the city. But my prediction is that it'll play out in one of two ways. One, we get some portions where we get to play as new Spidey, kind of learning. Well, also it depends on how many years or how much time after the first game this takes place. But we'll get maybe some sections or some amount of time to swing around the city and play and fight crime as new Spider-Man. But I'm thinking, but then just not be able to play him again until maybe Endgame,
right?
Or they do the like Red Dead Redemption thing and end up killing Peter Parker, and then you only play as Miles.
Yeah, I thought about that. I don't think they would do. I think that's too risky because it's like the name brand. Like, if it was a movie, sure, or if it was like a one-off thing, but like, because I mean, let's be honest, Sony really needs this right now. I don't think they would take the risk. I mean, it's possible. I think in the last game they could.
Why wouldn't they? If they have two Spider-Man, why would killing the first one be a problem?
I think that
granted, he is Peter Parker.
Yeah, I think a lot of the people who aren't as in tune with the comics, they play the first one, they love it, they buy the second one, and all of a sudden they aren't able to play as the character they thought they were going to be able to play as. I think that they would be disappointed. I think maybe if it was advertised that you're playing as him, then that's different.
Well, they wouldn't be able to advertise something like this. The main character is going to die.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
And when I say Red Dead, they intentionally keep this to the epilogue of the game so that you are playing as the character you love for so long.
But I feel like, I can definitely see it in the epilogue sense, where you complete the game, he dies after the last boss fight, and then from then on you play as Miles. My unpopular opinion on it is that you're never going to be able to play as Miles, and that in certain missions he'll help you out as an NPC during boss fights.
Oh my god!
Well, I think you're crazy.
I hope that's not the case.
I think you have to, because you already played as him. But like, that's my opinion.
That would be an insanely missed opportunity.
I mean, I definitely
wouldn't
prefer that
to the side.
I think that's possible.
What I really want out of him, particularly the next one, because they're gonna make more than 2, because money. I just really want to have a beginner Spider-Man, and then because we already played as advanced Spider-Man, and then so we'll still have advanced and even more advanced as we level him up. I just want to see this kind of cool parallel between the two, like a new Spider-Man learn the ropes literally, and just like coming into his own, and especially like because they would have to differentiate the two, and if they do that, that could be really sick.
You and your origin stories, Cody.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I don't need any more origin stories.
I don't care about the origin story. I'm talking about gameplay. I'm talking about like nuances and how you're Spider-Man.
I don't need that origin.
And like being a beginner Spider-Man. That's pretty fun.
I just want to wrap up the spoiler talk with the. Also, we never brought up Sable, which is. I mean, like it's fine.
What about Sable?
But I don't know.
I don't care for her.
I don't know. Actually, that's actually something I will bring up. Sable, I was really freaking excited that Silver Sable was in the game, and I was like, "Holy shit, Silver Sable! This is so cool." Am I confusing? And then I play the game, and I'm like, "Am I an 80-year-old person? Am I confusing the Silver Surfer and the Sable woman, or is she Silver Sable, super assassin spy person?" But then she just ends up being like,
McCree.
I don't know. She ends up just being like angry Russian lady with 2 guns.
I had no idea
like,
who she was before, so
she really didn't read too much as like elite special agent. Like I really kind of wish I had seen her jumping off some walls, doing some Black Widow type stuff. So that just kind of seemed off.
I think
not
she was
off. Like she was cool, but she was just underutilized.
Yeah, she was used less as a character and more of a plot device to get all the other types of enemies into the game.
Yeah.
Especially when she's like, "Hey, you're all right, but all my goons, nah, they're staying. You haven't beat them all yet."
Yeah, exactly, right? It's like, oh yeah, my goons are just gonna keep gunning for you because they think you got them fired.
I got the perfect transition for spoilers into minigames because one of the last minigames does have spoilery stuff.
Okay.
And it's my favorite one, so like I want to like just quickly go through it, and then we can get into the non-spoiler stuff.
Okay.
So the last Doc Ock minigame, you're investigating his like suit as he's like using it, and you start to notice that like it's not stable at all, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's totally fine."
Yeah.
And like each time you complete one of the minigames, it's like this is extremely dangerous. Like, please stop. Like unplug the thing. Like this is going to deteriorate the brain and could like change personality and blah blah blah. And you're just going through it, and he's like putting together all the last pieces as you do this like these mini games, and it felt like this was the only mini game that was actually important. Like it was like
Yeah.
You're actually getting this plot relevant information. I thought that was awesome.
it definitely was really cool. And then he tries to stop him, and they just
Yeah, exactly.
so good.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And I kind of wish I had done those before we actually got...
Wait, did you not do any of the mini games beforehand?
Oh, no, I did everything I could. Like
Okay.
They only let you do the first half of them until, I don't know, some point late in the game.
Yeah.
So I just never went back to them because you then have Harry's labs to go to for research points. You can catch the pigeons for research points. And those were just, honestly, way more fun than standing around doing Pipe Dream.
Sure.
Oh, I love Pipe Dream.
Non-spoiler
Mini game
talk.
time.
Non-spoiler real talk. Can we stop calling the Pipe Dream puzzle format the BioShock hacking minigame? Because BioShock didn't start it, my boys. It was freaking Windows 95 Pipe Dream. Maybe even before that. You were a plumber. You had X number of seconds to put in all the tiles and redirect the pipes to make sure the water got to the end of the side before time ran out.
Yeah, I remember playing them on like Armor Games and like Newgrounds. Those like those Flash websites. I remember definitely playing it there first before anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's such a nitpicky thing, but it's like the two nitpicky things that just rub me the wrong way is when like somebody refers to that type of puzzle as like a BioShock puzzle because it's Pipe Dream, and that's just a more whatever. It's Pipe Dream, and that's more broad. And secondly, even though I have said this myself, that saying that Spider-Man's combat is more or less directly pulled from Batman, since like some degree of a good degree, actually, of things that are in this game were in Spider-Man 2 on PS2/GameCube.
Really?
Yeah, like Spidey sense to dodge. That was in there. That was back in that day. That was in it. And Spider-Man didn't have like all the fancy dodges. He literally just kind of like did that Fat Joe lean back move. In the old Spider-Man 2, yeah, he did that lean back. It had spider sense. It had like it had kind of like regular ground combos. It had the uppercut, which auto transitioned into air combos, and it had the move where you could yank people up. It had the move where you could slam people down with the web. Whoa. Like, and it was so fun to get all these moves and see them in the PS4 version. Like,
pretty damn juicy.
Yeah, like to me, this game was Spider-Man 2. And they do it so well. It just felt like such a good like multi-layered trip of nostalgia between comics and gameplay.
Crazy. Especially for gameplay to be so
I think if anything, like the biggest addition that may have added to the Batman feel was the triangle, like pull yourself to an enemy with the web.
Really?
Because it felt like it made it feel more Batman, except even more powerful, because like Batman would do hella crazy slides and flips.
Okay.
You could like punch somebody, and then there'll be a dude behind you, like let's say 5 to 10 meters away, and Batman will just lift off and do this like crazy like double backflip to be right in front of the other guy and punch him in the face.
Oh, that's sick.
It is cartoonish, but it feels good, so you love it, and that's what I'm saying with the web zipping to enemies. Like if you want to play defensively, then you just punch the nearest guy away from you, and then if you want to take the fight to them, you then can just seriously like pull yourself to the enemy and then like punch them. Or something I learned like later on is that midway through like lerping over to your target, you can shoot gadgets. So you could actually like impact web, concussion blast, like just web the hell out of whoever you're actively like flying towards.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially because it slows down time. You can really use any of those.
So nice.
Quickly, like, what is your favorite gadget from the weapon wheel?
All right. Well, I feel like just to preface it, and I know that this is like, I don't know how helpful this is, but I went through the game without really upgrading any of the gadgets.
Really?
That's rough.
I upgraded the impact web like twice when they first were like, hey, you can upgrade gadgets. And then after that, when they give you the suits to do, and they use like the same currency to like do them, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna unlock all the suits as soon as I can get them instead. And so I never got any really of the upgrades. So this is so my opinion is just really like the base use of them. Out of those, my favorite was 100%. Tied between, I guess not 100%, 50%. I really like the tripwire thing that like stuck them to the wall because it felt very tactical, and then I also really liked the electric one because you could like chain multiple guys together and then
that was really cool
and sweep in. So yeah. What about you guys?
Nice. Those are pretty solid choices.
I'd say grenade was probably my number one. I'd say the tripwire one though is probably the most satisfying to use, but the one I like used the most and enjoyed and kind of like used to my like what I enjoyed moveset wise was definitely grenade. I just love swinging around everyone, especially big guys. You just web a bunch of people, swing the big guy around, and
I see. Yeah, you had the ability to throw the brutes pretty quickly. I did not have that ability for too long, so the web bomb ended up being, I won't say one of my least used, because I think spider drone was my least used.
I never got that.
I definitely use a grenade the least. I think I only threw like 2, like literally.
What did the drone do?
Oh my god, the drone was it was a little drone that shot.
It was the mini Spider Bro ability.
Oh. Wait, wasn't there 2?
Yeah, basically.
It wasn't there an actual gadget for it though too?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, there's an actual gadget. Yeah, the drone, he flies next to you and then pew 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 to anybody next to you. Oh, and I think actually you upgrade it to get seeking rounds and then get electrocution rounds. Yeah. So like the final form is just this like heat-seeking turret that shoots electric rounds, and it's just insane. But I didn't use it too much.
Yeah, you gotta tell me your favorites, man. You're just tickling me here.
I just want to say I didn't use the drone because it didn't feel tactile. Now, I'll tell you what my favorite ones were because they felt very tactile. Impact Web. Impact Web was amazing because I could just, in stealth missions, I could web zip to somebody, and then, obviously, if I wanted to, I could web strike them. If I wanted to be playful, I could just pull myself to them, and while in transit, impact web, so I don't have to even touch them afterward. And like, being in the middle of fights, you know, punch, kick, dodge, and then say, okay, we need to even this out a little bit, and being able to impact like 2 or 3 enemies and just watch their bodies fly across the screen.
It was real satisfying.
Oh, it's such a good feeling. It's like when Rocky Balboa punches a piece of dead meat.
It's definitely one of the most satisfying ones, I think. Like, and you can use it in the combos too. Like, if you smack someone down, they're on the ground, and they're getting back up. You impact web them, they're just down for the count. Like, that's it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Tripwire was actually...
I didn't use it as much as I wanted to, but whenever I did, I was happy I did it.
Oh god, yeah.
I really wanted to use it more. Like that, I would say, like, underappreciated tool of the game would be the tripwire, because that was like it was so cool, so funny. Like, you know, just like in the tutorial when you have to place it out and then it literally just shoots out to the guy and pulls him in.
Definitely feels very good.
But that's hilarious. And if you use it in a combat setting, it actually ends up taking out like 2 guys at once, because it'll just anchor 2 dudes together most of the time. And that's also hilarious, just watching the gadgets play out in unintentionally comical ways, like they're, and not in a bad way. Like, I would say in Just Cause like 3, and the new one definitely is going to have it, things will play out in very goofy, unexpected ways. But in this game, they play out in goofy ways, but it's not too unexpected. Like, you know that the trip mine usually will grab point A, point B, and then pull them together. So it's not too much of a leap to say, oh, it just grabs the 2 nearest thugs and then stick them together. That's true. So, because I can't really name the other one, I'm just going to say
it wasn't good enough to be remembered.
I didn't get the last 2.
So Suspension Matrix. Suspension Matrix. The anti-gravity mine.
I never got that.
That oh my god. I can't I can't believe I forgot the name, because I literally use it like for the last like 15% of the game. It was my go-to, like anytime a Sable truck stopped. Yeah, anytime a Sable truck stopped, anytime like there were thugs, anything, it was just like anti-gravity, and then just beat up everybody. It's so good. It's such a good gadget.
I gotta go back and use it, because I unlocked it, but I don't think I ever used it, actually, like, ever.
It's literally the best. Once it's really good when you first get it, and then when you give it
those upgrades,
like 2 upgrades, it makes it last longer and the radius bigger. And the final upgrade, which I haven't gotten and I don't know if I'm gonna get it, the final upgrade allows you to lift the heavy enemies. And so it just becomes like an all-you-can-beat buffet. You know what I'm talking about?
Which ultimate overall, or let's go with top 2 or so, did you use the most?
I'm gonna say the Web Blossom. Web Blossom is in the top 2. I don't know if it's number 1 at this point. And the second ability, okay, for now I'm just Web Blossom. It's such a simple move, but it's so effective that it became like just a stay for a good amount of the game.
I definitely also, like, out of all of them, I used the Web Blossom the most, like, for sure. I definitely found myself, whenever I was in any of the side missions where you had to fight enemies, I would just switch to Web Blossom immediately, where it's like, wave 1 out of 6. I'm like, oh, okay, Web Blossom, because it just takes out like 10 enemies at a time. Like, because it's not damage based, it just, if they're webbed to a wall, they're done, like, it's immediate. Along those lines, I also really liked the negative shockwave, just because both of those have like the greatest AoE out of all of them. And because AoE is pretty much the only thing that you really don't have much availability to in your normal moveset, and so being able to trigger that to take out multiple enemies at a time just felt so clutch. And then the other one that I'm counting as kind of a separate thing, because it's not AoE, was the electric punches. Because just going from enemy to enemy, and like, because normally like in gameplay I would focus on one enemy until they were knocked out or not dead because he didn't quote unquote kill anybody. I would focus on one enemy until they were done, and then go to the next one and just go 1-to-1. But with the shock fists, I would hit someone like twice, and then web someone, pull them over, and then just like go from guy to guy and kind of stun them all, dealing damage to all of them. Because it halted them in place, giving you time to kind of dish it around, which felt really cool. It felt more tactical.
Yeah, I remember the second one now that you spoke about the electricity power. So the other power that I love that I use all the time now is the invincibility, like the shield. There's a power that makes you like invulnerable for probably about 10-15 seconds. Is
it the one that deflects or that just takes it?
There's one that absorbs damage, so that's the one I'm talking about, not the deflect bullets one, because that's yeah. So it ends up becoming the most badass and or funniest thing when there's just the biggest group of thugs, and then Spider-Man jumps in. You see a blue tint cover his body, and he just wails on everyone relentlessly, like not being interrupted once. And they're just like, "Get Spider!" Oh, like he's got me all over. That's an awesome power just because it allows me to. I'm way more of a kind of like float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, do a bunch of dodges and climb up a tree type guy. And being able, yeah, thank you. And being able to just turn on the shield and say, screw it, I'm just gonna mash the square button till I win. Just feels really good from time to time. Cody, what were your favorite powers?
The electrocute everyone around me one, and I honestly use the iron spider legs a lot, just for shield boys and the flying boys. I just wanted to get them out of the way super quick, and they just were instantly down, basically, with those things.
I didn't use them as much as I wanted to, but they looked awesome.
I wish the animations were a little more fun. I wish they were, like, ambiently, like, helping you, like, be mobile and everything, but, like, obviously they can't do that, because they can't change the mobility system on ability.
Right, yeah, that'd be a lot of animation.
Yeah.
It's too much.
I remember you told me about the iron spider power and like how cool it was, and I got like really hyped for it, and I think it ended up being one of my least liked powers.
It was just like
not
enhanced
like
beat 'em up power. And that was it. It wasn't like
yeah, exactly. It was just like more fists, but if I at least in my view, if I wanted the power or the idea of more fists, I usually go for whatever that quad damage power was.
I definitely didn't have all the suits, so I didn't have as many as you guys.
Oh yeah, speaking of suits,
all the
suits. They were like the best type of achievement. Like each time I ended up I think
every time I leveled up.
like any of the story beats that didn't end in like a dramatic pull to the next story, I would my instinct was like, did I get a new suit? And I would just open it up and check. I actually didn't even realize that they were level based until I beat the game.
Really?
I just thought that you unlocked a new one every 2 levels or so, because I would beat a level, do a bunch of side quests, do another level, and then one would just unlock. I didn't realize that they were level based until I beat the game, and then it was like, wait, I still have one that I didn't unlock yet, and it's like, oh, you're level 45, and I was like, oh shoot, I'm only level 43. I gotta grind a little bit for this last thing.
Oh, that's crazy. I feel like I didn't even know some of this now.
Yeah.
I was just playing so much and having so much fun, doing things in the city that anytime I was leveling up or whatever, it said I either had tokens or I didn't, so I did more side content, which just made more suits. So, favorite suit, guys? Cody, you go first.
I think it was one of the early ones. It was the black and yellow one.
That one was so cool.
I wore that one quite a bit.
Oh yeah, I think that was the Mark II armor, spider armor.
Probably that one, and probably whatever the super armored red and black one was. He had actual armor plates on his chest and shoulders.
The one that made him look like Slade.
Oh, I love that one so much. I think that was my favorite aesthetically.
That was so good.
But it didn't the problem was it made me feel super not stealthy. So whenever I had to do any stealth, I was like, I can't be wearing this.
I wonder if that even plays a role at all.
Because I know it did. I think I was it was just. I did it for me.
Wasn't there a stealth stat on the suit?
No. I don't think there were stats, but I don't think they were suit based. I think they were actually power based.
I hope so.
I'm pretty sure it was just the power that did it.
What do you mean?
So
power? Like the gear?
Yeah. So if you like equipped the like 4 times like punch like ultimate, like on the little chart the power thing would go up, but the versatility and all that stuff would go down. Like if you did the zero gravity one, the movement one goes up the highest out of all of them, but the other stuff goes down. Like I'm pretty sure it's just based on the ultimate.
Oh, okay.
But that was a really cool one. I definitely used the black and yellow one. It was Mark II. I'm looking at a list now.
That was so good.
It's I think that one. I feel like that one I really liked using at night. There were some suits. I found myself switching suits very often.
Yeah, for
in
sure.
a good way.
Oh yeah, constantly.
And switching suits and switching powers. Like a big thing is just like, I know we're talking about favorite suit and stuff, but like being able to just mix and match, like being the style you want with the gameplay style you want, was just such a good choice. Such
Seeing
a
the loading
player-friendly
screens, it's just
decision.
like, yeah, that's my suit, it's me. It felt.
As soon as I got Spider-Punk, I almost want to say Spider-Punk is my favorite costume, because that's the one I spent like the most time playing as, because it was just so. I want to say that's it, but I don't exactly know, because so this is my indecision, right? Because I wore Spider-Punk the most because he just looks so cool, but I didn't like the power too much. Now, but I also wore the green
Stealth
and black
big time.
That was dope.
Yeah, stealth big time. That one was so good, and almost every time the city went to nighttime, I put on that suit, unless I was doing like a stealth mission, because then I was Noir Spider-Man, aka Spider Cop.
I definitely used the.
I'll say the big time. Big time was probably my favorite because of the glow in the dark green. That looked too good.
I used the big time whenever I did stealth missions. It's actually different because I pre-ordered the deluxe edition. I started the game with Spider-Punk, the Iron Spider, and Velocity suit all unlocked already.
Oh, Velocity too, cool.
Right. Velocity suit is probably my least favorite.
Yeah.
If not the power, or like if not the suit,
I
then
think
just
the
the
water is
power.
my least favorite.
Yeah, and so with those 3 already unlocked, like the Spider-Punk one, I actually didn't like very much. I didn't actually use it very much because I kind of like, instead of it being an unlocked suit, I just had it as like a almost meme suit, where I'm like, this is like the most the least likely suit that he would wear.
Yeah.
So I actually only wore it once, and it was great during that once. Actually, I did it during the Halloween little costume thing, because he's like, I'll just blend right in. So I'm like, I'll wear the one that's like an actual costume, and that felt really cool.
And there are other Spider-Men there, so it's like extra fun.
I would the same suit.
Out of all of them though, as soon as I unlocked the Mark IV suit, which is the metal version of it's his normal suit, but it's like metal, and it has the like glowing green insignia and eyes.
Yeah.
As soon as I unlocked that, I used that for all the story missions. Like it just felt like that, like I was still Spider-Man. Whereas some of the other suits, like you're like alternate universe Spider-Man, or like various types. But like as soon as I like this is just like super Spider-Man. Like it has the same design, but it's just better. So I felt that was really awesome. But I actually got to do some really cool role playing stuff with the suits as well, which I thought was really good. And we all kind of briefly talked about it, like with the costume one for the Halloween, and like the stealth for the stealth. And as soon as a point in the story, because we're in non-spoiler zone, as soon as a point in the story happens where you are not in great shape, I actually switched back to the original ripped suit
to reflect the status.
Yeah, and then when I went into the next story mission and I had the ripped suit, it felt awesome. I felt like I was like, this is the right choice. Like I'm beat up and I'm physically beat up. Like
I hated when that happened because I didn't.
Cool.
I didn't switch. And I was like, oh no! Like the one time it breaks it.
I definitely would switch into actually like.
I'm glad you did though.
I used the. I keep rambling, but I definitely used the M4 the most after I got it, and I used the M2, the black and yellow one, the most while I had that one. But I think my favorite one is actually neither of those. My favorite one is actually the Scarlet Spider suit.
That one's
The
really cool.
one that's like it has like the red with like the hoodie.
I really dig that.
And I just felt like it was the perfect one for me to do like all the side missions on.
Oh wait,
it was the one that wasn't the Homecoming one.
Yeah. Scarlet Spider was the cut off blue hoodie, and then the all red.
And I felt like whenever I was like doing the side missions and stuff, where I would be like helping civilians, it was like this is the more casual version of Spider-Man. Like, but it still looked like Spider-Man. I thought it was I don't know. I loved them all. It was great.
It's funny that you mentioned like that the costumes kind of made it during some cinematics made it feel like alternate universe Spider-Man, because like Scarlet Spider is actually a clone of Spider-Man by the name of like Ben something or another, and like the Secret Wars Spider-Man suit is like, it's not a different universe exactly, but like as far as I know, the Skrull haven't hit that universe. And
there was the Skull one.
Oh my god, I never got that one.
So
crazy.
I actually really liked that one. As soon as I saw it was available, like I don't know if that one's my favorite because I don't 100% like the body portion. I really wanted it more so to be Ghost Spider, like when Ghost Rider and Spider-Man.
I mean, it's kind of
one.
that.
Like it is more or less that, but in a weird way. Whereas the other way would be like Spider-Man body and Ghost head. I think
he was a little bit too ripped for me, like because it's essentially just a white naked body.
It was almost like white symbiote suit Spider-Man.
I didn't love it. I think you know what actually would have done it for me, and we already talked about how the changing of voice actors and stuff would be too difficult, but if it changed his voice to reflect it, I think it would have been great. But because I think it just pulled me out of the immersion every time I heard Peter speak while I had the skull. Like it was too goofy and like laid back, where it's like I'm a skull man. Like
and I want to say I may have had that comic book style suit for one cutscene. I'm not 100% sure, but I did really enjoy using that suit. I think using it all the time kind of like makes it stale pretty quick, but using it sparingly for screenshots or things like cutscenes is like really fun. This game, I have to say, like, it's been a good long while since I've kind of like just finished a campaign to a game, and either during or right after being done with it, thought to myself like, man, I want to like go back and play through it all over again. Like play the missions, see all the cutscenes, play them with different suits on, and that I feel like there's something special to a game that like can make me. Yeah,
I want to change my rating. I've been talking about
the game rating.
I give it a 6.2, and I feel like I wasn't fair to the game. I'm bumping it to a 6.3. Give it a whole 0.1 bump. I think
he's giving it a whole extra chunk of butt.
I think I had subtracted some points for some of the stealth that felt kind of abrupt, but besides that, I really have no complaints. I'm a huge open world guy, and it really got all those itches that I wanted it to scratch.
That's what you want. Those itches
oh my god! For going back to overall from the suit stuff, in an open world context, I feel like this did open world it felt old but refreshing. And what I mean by that is that it followed a lot of open world tropes and traditions. You're literally going to towers to open new map chunks. You got like various side activities that load you into instances and stuff like that. But you obviously get the difference in mobility, which like plays a huge factor. But I think even in just how they tested you, I guess, right? Like in, let's take Grand Theft Auto 4. It tasks you with collecting pigeons, and it just kind of like puts them there in various locations for you to shoot. In this game, you collect pigeons, and they're more like almost like racing or like catching the golden snitch. Like you're just so much more active. It's like having you just go into a state of flow, and it didn't. For the most part, I'll say, like, when it came to 100%ing the game, the last probably like hour felt a little bit like a checklist, but outside of that, it didn't feel like a checklist. It just felt like, ooh, a piece of candy. Like I just wanted to do the next thing over and over. Whereas so many open world games that have come out, that are coming out now, that are going to come out, they are doing the same Assassin's Creed style open world stuff, and it's just getting like super tiring. So to be able to kind of do a good degree of that stuff, but being able to do it with a new mobility set and with like tweaks on top of that mobility set was just like so refreshing and good.
It was for anyone out there who wants to play Spider-Man, but or something similar that has that open world maneuverability and all that stuff, that doesn't want to play Spider-Man or can't afford it for some reason. The prototype games do a great job of that same like crazy awesome mobility, open world. It has way more flaws. I'll preface it with that, but it also has a great job of making it feel good to go around the city as opposed to a chore.
And I forgot to mention this back when you were talking about Spider-Man's AoE moves, but he does have an AoE move, and I know I bought this move, but I didn't actually learn about it until after I beat the game around. When I was doing. No, it's the ground pound.
Oh, yeah.
I barely did that.
Yeah, if you were like X and square at the same time while in the air, he would web down and then just ground pound. And you could do a full charge super jump or even jump off a freaking skyscraper and hit those two buttons, and Spider-Man would still slam himself into the ground, which no fall damage, but also that's just like, that move was cool. I wish I had used it more, but it just never came through. But the way you use it for Harry's mission, I don't know if you guys did this one, but it's the one where you're like following underground pipes.
Oh, I did that one. It was really cool.
Yeah, in order to find the underground pipes, you have to use the ground pound so that your like visual detective sense sonar can see the pipes. I just thought that was like a neat way to use the move.
I didn't do it. I didn't do that mission, but I'll have to go back and give it a shot.
Yeah, that one was a fun one. And I think that kind of like, it's sort of, this is more of, I guess, kind of like just a sort of style or philosophical question, but it's like, do you have the research stations that kind of reinforce a certain move or teach a player a certain move? Do you make those mandatory, or do you front load those to the beginning game areas to try and get those done? Or do you like just keep it open? In the sense of Spider-Man, they just kept it open. They didn't want to like force any particular moves on you, but that means I didn't really learn how to properly do that move until I encountered it.
I think it's probably fine. I think that just like I didn't use the gadgets as much as probably other people did. Like I think being able to find the way that you like to play the best is awesome. Like I don't think we brought this up in the actual video so far, but like, I think Cody, no, it was Carlos and I both did a like full, like the full movement tree before we did anything else, where Cody did not.
Oh yeah. No.
And that changes everything, like in the beginning of the game also.
Yeah, the mobility stuffs are just, definitely leaning on any one tree, it just makes it into almost not a different game, but it's definitely like wildly different from what you would do on a different tree.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it sounded super simple.
I mean, it's something that is true, and also like it is worth mentioning. Like it's the fact that you can play the game, and based on how you play it in the beginning can kind of dictate how you go through the rest of it. Something also that I actually didn't like, that I think that you guys also didn't experience, is that with a digital deluxe edition, along with the 3 suits, you actually start with 5 upgrade points.
What?
Also,
that's weird.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, so you were able to get like several skills.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
I just immediately bought 3 skills from the movement thing. And that being said, they're not like stats. Like it doesn't actually increase your level to give you like extra health or whatnot. But it did feel a little weird because like I never played the game without the super jump. Like I immediately bought it.
Man. It was as somebody who didn't have the super jump immediately, it was a very confusing slog for a little bit.
I didn't get it for a long time
because all my Spider-Man 2 muscle memory was still in play.
Oh, that's true. You had that.
So I was just wondering where the hell the super jump was, and then I
think
saw
not
it in
having
the
that
menu.
helped me a lot. Like not having played that game, I didn't miss it because I didn't know what I was missing.
Yeah, that's true. And then it's just a pleasant surprise as opposed to
yeah. So I got way late. And I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. And I didn't really even use it that much.
And to wrap things up with our Spider-Man discussion, we're going to just quickly restate like what our high points of the game was, what our low point of the game was, and what we hope to see changed or added for the sequel.
Yeah, I said it like throughout it, and I think we're all like incongruent on a bunch of like the positives, I think, but I think like by far my favorite part of it was just the general movement around the city. Like I found myself enjoying going around the city even more than the combat. And the combat's so good also, but like I found all the landmarks like before I did like even like 4 missions or so. Like I just wanted to keep swinging. It was like and if you can get movement right in the game, everything else just enhanced. So I think that's my favorite by far. My least favorite wasn't necessarily the stealth missions, but I think it was how abrupt maybe they seemed. Like I didn't mind them when I was playing them, but when I started a mission and then all of a sudden it went into flashback and I'm like, oh no, I have to play as Mary Jane, then it was like it was a little like disappointing if anything. So while I didn't dislike the gameplay itself, it was just the flow that kind of got disrupted. And then for the next one, I think the only thing that I would actually want is maybe some variety in some of the like side mission stuff where there's like 5 of the Fisk hideouts and stuff, but they're all like the exact same layout. Maybe if they were different layouts or if they were different. Maybe like they're all the same 6 waves. I don't know, something to change it up. I haven't really thought about it too much, but if they were able to give some variety in that stuff, that would be great.
So would you have them? So would you want them to kind of keep the same activities, but just make sure that they change the level layouts, the level designs?
Yeah, I think that would be great if they could. I know that that's all to ask for because it's just a side thing.
Yeah,
I think that would definitely enhance it, at least for me.
Okay, cool. What about you, Cody?
Definitely. I don't know. Just kind of the whole thing in general. Just the tone, running around as Spider-Man, like, you know, they're like, oh, it made you feel like Spider-Man. I definitely thought those. I
mean, it is a valid high point of the game if it made you feel like Spider-Man.
I really liked how the supervillain Spider-Man fights really felt a little crazier than the game was. Like those instances felt more inflated and kind of dramatized, and I really liked that. Like the Rhino's just this big, hugely ridiculous man, and of course he's Russian. and I actually really enjoyed like the combat in those segments. I thought it worked really well.
So you didn't give it a 7 though. What didn't you like?
Didn't like goddamn stealth missions, and pretty much what you said. The gameplay wasn't bad. I don't know how much I liked all of it. I like some of it. Yeah, just let me play with Spider-Man. And for the next game, I was gonna keep building off that. Give me more like actual Spider-Man stealth missions. Like they kind of tease some like real stealth in the beginning, and like you crawl through air ducts, but then you just go right into like usually combat. And if there is stealth, it's light, and it's just an intro to like forced combat. I want more like you can do combat or you can do stealth, because Spider-Man can literally walk on any surface ever, and just always let him do that everywhere, and you can always have stealth.
I mean, that's true. Actually, like I actually really
true,
like that stealth part in the beginning. I don't like stealth things, so that's I totally agree with you.
It was cool when you like zap the dude, bring him up, and you just leave him to die up in the air duct. You're like, peace.
No one found him. He's done.
Dead. But yeah, and like, it's like I would love to never have to play as Mary Jane again, unless she keeps the taser. Then it could be all right. But like, if I could have her as like a support character, like how Peter was a support character in a few times when you're playing as Mary Jane, I think that'd be cool. And then still allow them to be in the game and kind of like part of the gameplay. Just let me be Spider-Man.
I definitely hear you on that, and I hope they give Mary Jane something way better to do in the next game. Dude, I will say, just a quick note before I get to my ending thought on it. It is really disappointing when you talk like what you said about the stealth, it being a lead into force combat. That disappointed me so many times. Like I think it was with the hideouts in particular. Like those are mandatory 6-wave ordeals, but the first wave can be taken out stealthily, and then the rest, and even then it's like really hard because you have several like groups of multiple enemies that you can't really pull from each other. But if you do achieve that, which takes multiple trials, then it's just new enemies come out and they immediately know Spider-Man's here because the first wave of guys is dead, and that sucks. Like, damn, man. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I would ask for like new sets of like patrols for them between waves, or just have them go to the same like POIs, or just not have them show up at all.
Yeah,
like not sure how I would handle that exactly, but just having the game react to you successfully pulling off a stealth.
I have a solution, and that is like, so what happens in game is that they just like you I can't say the word. You successfully stealth kill or stealth knockout all of the people in the first wave, and then immediately people run out and they're like, oh, second wave, and it feels unnatural. Yep. But I think that if there was like a slight delay, and then you hear like over a radio or something like copy, do you hear me? And there's no answer. Like, oh, there's no answer. Like, come on up. And then the second wave comes out, and then they see that everyone's webbed up. Then it would make sense to be like, oh, Spider-Man is obviously here somewhere, because everyone's like webbed to walls and stuff.
That's fair.
Like,
yeah,
I think if there was that gap that kind of like made it a little bit more realistic, then I think that would probably fix it.
I think especially if they notice that the people are webbed up 10 feet above them. They're like, oh, look, right there, and there's VO, and they're physically looking. Because everyone's eyes are stuck into like...
Well, I think in a normal like sense, when like they're just talking and stuff,
yeah,
I can believe that they didn't notice the friends were talking when they're distracted with something else, or if they're at a post.
Definitely.
But if people are entering a new room,
yeah,
and no one's there, they're gonna look up. Like they're not gonna be like, where there's nowhere to be found, and then like doesn't look on the ground or on the ceiling.
That would definitely be a really nice added touch. I would definitely feel a lot better if they
right.
that addition.
All right, Carlos, what did you your three things?
You know, I gotta say, like the gameplay's so on point. 100%, like, easily best Spider-Man game I've played. With that being said, I think the best part of the game for me might just be the suits.
Yeah,
like, I think being able to actually be like the Spider-Man I want to be, and the fact that there are so many suits that just fit the different like styles and moods that I feel while playing, and the fact that they actually roll into cutscenes and the characters just play with the various outfits, that's like my favorite part, because it really nails the experience, you know, like Cody was saying with tone, like just being able to match like my tone as a player within their tone of the world creates a real harmony.
Yeah, I totally agree. Mm-hmm.
The gameplay's solid, but the suits are the absolute best thing for me, because, you know, I love Spider-Man, and so the worst thing, granted, some of this stuff will be addressed in DLC coming soon. I think some of the worst things were just like a little bit of a letdown with like enemy inclusion. So like I feel Spider-Man only fights the Vulture once.
Yeah. And
granted, that is a really cool battle, but holy cow, if that's going to be a fight with the Vulture, like I wanted to do that fight. I wanted to do a like that type of fight, like maybe one or two more times, like just mano-a-mano high in the air with the Vulture. I think we had a good amount of time with Shocker, but like Silver Sable was just kind of like a person, and like just basically like some enemies didn't get too much screen time, and other enemies were like or other characters were a little too Chris Nolanified.
Yeah, I hear you.
And that is like, and that's obviously like not the worst thing to have in a game. like the reason like this game is so good because you just can't really like, you can kind of complain about it, but like you're not gonna stop just jumping off of Avengers Tower and fucking swinging everywhere. It's too good. The game's good. I'm like, I know we've been you know, quote unquote harping about it for like an hour and 45 minutes on things we don't like, with like some of the things we do like, but overall I'm like at the end of all of this and I'm like, I don't know, even the bad shit I liked was like pretty good.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
True.
Like the fact that all these characters, the fact that Sable, like Sable was in like one game, and that was like Ultimate Spider-Man with like fucking yeah, it's just good. It's just good. Just long sigh. It's so good. Go play.
Right now, drop it.
Go play the game. I'm excited for the DLC. I already have it because I got the deluxe thing.
I keep forgetting what's the thing.
I actually just I told you, but I got the Spider-Man Special Edition PS4 Pro. Yesterday it came in, and it comes with a physical copy of Spider-Man and the digital. It's the digital deluxe edition, so I guess it has a code in the box or something for the DLC. So I'm super happy about that because I got it as a digital download, so now I technically own it twice.
And it comes with a map of Japan.
It comes with a pre-order of Metal Gear Solid 5.
So actually, I wanted to fit this in a while ago. I forgot. We started talking about it, and then we broke off into combat, and then went back to it. Like it was. It didn't really have its own section. It kind of was dispersed through. But my main thing, which I actually didn't even notice until close to the end of the game, is that the mini games, specifically the Doc Ock like pipe game or whatever, are skippable.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and I'm making like a weird face right now, and I have my hand up, like you can. I feel like that's a strange choice.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it is a strange choice, but I think it was a good choice.
I just, I can see the pros and cons of it. I just feel like it kind of gives the impression to people that like, hey, we know our mini games aren't that good, so here's the ability to skip it if you want.
Oh, I have a different view.
All right, please. Like. And that being said, I didn't dislike the mini games. It's just that as soon as I saw that was an option, I was like, why are they giving me this option?
When it comes to the skip button on the puzzles, I didn't notice it until like 3 or 4 puzzles in.
Same.
But even then I was like, this is a break from the regular gameplay. And now I'm bearing in mind that I was doing a lot of side activities alongside like my mission stuff. But I was out in the world enough that like the mini games, the puzzles, they didn't overstay their welcome. So yeah, so having the skip button, like I didn't need it, but to me, I thought it was very nice, and it kind of lends to their accessibility features that they have that skip button, because like, you know, for one reason or another, maybe somebody can't complete the puzzle, or somebody just doesn't want to do it. You know, either you don't have time, you can't do it, or some third reason. And allowing you to skip that, like not having any achievements tied to it, nothing like that, I think it's just good because it allows the end user to better enjoy.
Right. It doesn't force them if they're stupid
or have a better experience, which is ultimately, like, you just want your end user to have the best experience possible, and if making skippable, like, mini puzzles does that, then so be it. I would not want them, if there was a big puzzle, like, you know, I consider big puzzles, say, like a stealth hideout mission. Like, if you made that skippable, obviously that would be an issue. But something as simple as Peter just going doop dop deep, like, sure.
I think I might have liked it better if it wasn't visible right away, but maybe if you like spent like 2 or 3 minutes in the puzzle and you still haven't completed it yet, then it like faded onto the screen or something.
I hear you, and I think I see your reasoning for that. But playing devil's advocate, I would feel like the game is somewhat
like pitying you, yeah.
If they were to do that, yeah, and yeah, it annoys me in every other game if that ever happens, and it happens a lot in Uncharted.
Yeah, that's true. I think I already agree with you.
Yeah.
As I was saying it, I was like
you'll wait a long time, you'll stare at the puzzle, you know, like it's Uncharted or it's Tomb Raider, and then like the main character will be like, I wonder if I should stare at it.
Right? Yeah. They totally do that a lot.
And granted, you know, we as game designers, you got to do that to help jostle the memory of the player, you know, assuming they just forgot. Right. But I think we're kind of getting into two different things here. Like, hint VO, helpful VO is fine. Presenting an option after X amount of time or failure to then skip is insulting, even though it is well intentioned. Because it's the game saying, "Hey, it looks like you're not good enough. Try skipping this."
But I mean, if you're volunteering to skip it, you're outright saying you're not good enough anyways.
It's different when they give it to you at the beginning, though. It's still different.
No, if you're volunteering to skip it, you could just be skipping it for the fact that you don't have, let's say you have 15 minutes to play. Oh, now you're encountering a puzzle? Nah, I just want to play Spider-Man and get to the next cutscene, so I'm going to skip this one for now.
That's what they're pretty good.
That's the voluntary part of it, like giving the player agency is like always the
I see what you're saying.
So if I say no thank you, it's not as bad as them saying like, oh here, hey, try this out.
I guess that's true.
I mean, I think it's different for different people though too. I don't think it's
for sure. It's for the most part, I think from person to person, it's perception.
Yeah, that was the last thing I had.
This was a real good talk, guys. Thank you for joining me on this very first maiden voyage of a casual conversation.
Dude, it was a joyage.
That's my boy.
If you guys like this type of video, like, let us know because we can make more. This is really fun to make. So like, getting that confirmation that this is what you guys want is you can get more. This is possible. This is a doable thing.